Good evening and welcome back to the Battle Axe Beaver. Now, last week we went over some comic books and the Wolverine collection. This week we're going to do the Ninja Turtles. I did mention that X-Men were coming up this week, but I kind of stowed those away back in the boxes, so they're going to be hard to get to. So let's get this Turtle comic book collection out of the way, and couple other collectibles I just picked up, and these are the Mutant Mayhem figures. I kind of got them framing up the epic Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle painting that I did a while back. If you haven't seen my video on that yet, just look to some of the earlier videos and that'll show you how I painted this epic TMNT painting. I've got the, what do we got? Classic collection, the storage shelled turtles, the pizza tossing Michelangelo. I think that's the only pizza tossing one I have. I had a chance to collect all of them, but I didn't. But I did happen to get all the storage shell guys, and I did happen to get all the Mutant Mayhem figures. I'm only missing the Donatello on the classic collection. They've got Raphael there, right there, and Leo on that one, and I got a couple of Mikeys. So anyway, let's get in here and see what we got. It's a little dark in here, but we got all kinds of cool stuff. Let's get a better look at that. Let's get that light over here. Okay, that's a little better lit, and I pulled the comic books out so we could see a little bit more of the collectibles. Let's go ahead and start with the last Ronin, because those are a couple of the action figures that I recently collected. Actually, the most recent one, which I didn't expect to find, I've been waiting for this guy. That's the Invisible Donatello. And I've got the Hunchback and the Van Helsing Splinter. I found this guy. Now, he's one of my, I think, one of my coolest finds recently. I picked him up at a comic book store, a really cool comic book store. I might do a video on that. And then Mummy Michelangelo, he's one of my favorites. Oh, Raphael there. There's the other classic. Actually, I have three of those guys. I picked up three of the classic Michelangelos there. There's one of my wood figures, Michelangelo, another Michelangelo. This guy could be anybody really. And a little Leo down there. And picked up some of the movie sets. This one's got Secret of the Ooze, the original one, and some of the other ones. I think 1, 2, and 3 of the 1990. Starting with the 1990 movies. I got the movie Leonardo, but I have him set up out of the box. He's one of the few that I've taken out of the box. And this guy, Bride of Frankenstein, she's so cool. All the details on all of these are really cool, like amazing. Oop, I don't want to knock stuff down. Maybe look at that later. Anyway, I got that whole setup going on in there. That's pretty sweet. And once I get that light plugged in, that'll make a nice little display. So let's move on over to the comic book collection. And I got this right off a rack in Thrifty Drugstore. Should call it ice cream store, because that's all we went there for until I started collecting comic books. Then I went there all the time for the comic books. But let's start looking at some of these. These are very awesome, and part of the reason I started collecting comic books to begin with. Alright, let's take a little hands-free approach so I can get over here and show you these. This is the very first comic book I bought. Now, a friend of mine let me read X-Men or whatever, and that kind of got me into comics. In the 6th grade, he let me read it in class, and I read the whole thing in class, amazingly enough. And I've been reading these things, well, not recently, but when I was a teenager ever since. So I continued to read, and I did read a few regular books, but the comic books really had me hooked. So if you're worried your kids shouldn't be reading comic books, but at least you want them to read, then I would say, look, get them a good comic book, a wholesome comic book, something that they'll enjoy. And man, they're fun to read because you got the pictures that show the action, and then all the reading that goes along with it. And some of these writers are really, really spectacular. They're I remember Chris Claremont was one of my favorite writers, and he was writing for the X-Men at the time. That's a beautiful cover. I love the green and the very awesome looking. This is another cool one. Now, these Archie series sort of followed the cartoon more or less. Not particularly every episode of the cartoons, but the art style is more along the lines of what they were doing with the cartoon. I think with the exception of these first covers, these are kind of a little bit different style. I love the artwork on this though. That's my favorite cover out of all of them. Let's see, we're up to number 6, and what year was this done? I can't see it on the cover. Probably have to open it. But some of the artwork on these have the year that it was done. This one, I believe that says 1988. Laird and Levine. There's another name here. Eastman, I think. Eastman, Laird, and Levine. So I wonder who did the cover. Maybe all three. Beautiful cover. I love it. Number 7. This one's pretty funny. Got some wrestling dog. Some kind of wrestling pooch. And there's Wingnut. Looks like they're still in their wrestling outfits on this one. I can't for the life of me remember any of the things that actually happened in these books, but there's number 8. I think that's the one I left off with until I started collecting other stuff. Of course, the movie came out, so I got these movie adaptions. There's Secret of the Ooze, and here's the other movie here. And then along the way, I started discovering these in a local comic book store. And these are the original, the Eastman and Laird, the original series before all the cartoon and everything came out. So there's number 7, number 8, there's number 11, number 15. Just amazing covers. And I think by this time there were different artists doing these stories and doing the books, because Eastman and Laird were busy with merchandising and all the other kind of stuff that goes along with being outrageously famous for their creation. Look at this cover. That is crazy. Just amazing. Amazing covers here. That's book 30. We'll have to open this one to see what number that is, but I'm not totally sure. 24. Now these got a different style to them. Okay, here's 23. That one's awesome. 24. There's that one. Number 25 and 26. Look at the turtles. Crazy looking, huh? Pretty amazing. Amazing artwork there. 27. And again, more newer stuff. This one says Bodie art, so I just recently bought this one. For $4, man, what a find! And it's in really good condition. You can see the bags and boards have taken some wear and tear over the years, but the actual comic books are in very good condition. This, I don't know what number, but again, you can see another iteration of the turtles, and man, it looks like they're painted in this one. Maybe acrylic paints, or a little even could be oil paints, but no, this one kind of looks like a watercolor a little bit, but I don't know, just incredible stuff there. Well, let's see what else we have here. Okay, so I just recently picked up this one. This is the Turtles Street Fighter crossover. Pretty interesting there. And these are my newest ones. The Last Ronin, The Lost Years, that's number 2. Number 3. Here's one I recently picked up. These aren't in order. I just want to show the covers because they're amazing, and I might want to look at them myself while I'm at work. Here's an IDW. Now, I haven't really started collecting any of the IDWs. I just love that cover. It's such a cool looking cover. The way the city is in the background and the turtles in the foreground. Here's another these guys are so weird looking on this one. This is the Ninja Turtle Usagi Ajimbo crossovers here. There's number 1 for the Lost Years, in case you were wondering. I'm pretty sure I need to go get number 4 is out. I hope. Maybe. I don't know. But I'm not missing out on any of these. I have at least one of the... There's another number 2. I have at least one cover of each of these things. There's The Last Ronin, issue 1. I think that's cover number 5, like the 5th print of that. This one, I still don't have a bag and board for, but there's issue 2 of The Last Ronin, which is really why... This is the only reason I started collecting comic books again, which I rediscovered the joy of it again by now. But, you know, 25, 30 years later, they're $8.99 an issue instead of $1.25. You know, inflation. Of course, these are a little bit thicker, and you know, the covers are a little nicer than some of the newsprint stuff, so these would be probably a little bit more than $1.25 back in the 80s and 90s. What do we got? Issue 4, and then it leaves off with the final issue, issue 5. Now, I kind of missed out on a lot of the first issue comics of the Ninja Turtles, so I compensated by buying these. And here's book number 4. This has the old turtle stuff, and I got book 1 and 2, and this is the stuff with, you know, where they were battling Mousers and Triceratons and the purple dragon and the foot and all that cool stuff. So the only one I don't have is 3. I'm gonna have to look out for that. And you know, I've been getting some stuff I don't normally collect, and this one I just don't have a home for it yet. I do have to take my comic books back out, but the artwork in this thing was so dang cool, I just had to grab one just for the heck of it. Just for the artwork. I'm not going to be reading these things. I'm kind of long past that. I work so much I don't really have time to sit back and read a comic book, but for those who, like me, don't have a lot of time to read comic books, I suggest go online and look up the audio version, because a lot of these stuff, especially the original Ninja Turtles and recently the Last Ronin stuff, has actual people reading and going over page for page, showing you the picture and reading the audio book, and it's a lazy man's way of reading, and I get entertained by it. Like I said, I drive 10 to 12 hours every day, and it's tedious and long, and a good audio book reading is sometimes just what I need. And we'll just kind of go over the covers again backwards. And I want to thank you all for joining me again for another bit of comic book nostalgia. And hopefully we'll see you back on my channel again for the Battle Axe Beaver. And for the Battle Axe Beaver, well, look, that's the name of the channel because we are doing carving, we're doing sculpting with this Sculpty clay. I can't bet you can't guess what I'm doing with this. Yeah, well, can you see it? It's kind of bright, shining off of that. But anyway, there's another turtle thingamabob. I'm getting past the turtle obsession a little bit, and my next creation, we'll be going over a bobble legs and bobble arms Wolverine. So hopefully stay tuned for that very soon. And just for the heck of it, I will be pulling out the X-Men, so stay tuned for that. See you next time on the Battle Axe Beaver.